Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Jen's going to take this message off. Thank you, Jen. Okay. Hey, I'm Amy Karanik. I'm a Sculpey brand ambassador, and my fingers are dirty because I got lots of clay on them, but that's cool. And thank you for joining us on this Liquid Sculpey version of do-it-yourself Christmas package decorations. We've got 4 really cute and versatile projects to focus on today, and we're going to use Liquid Sculpey on all of them. One of them actually has Primo Sculpey on it as well. So if you're ready, Bianca, let's look at the workstation and we'll get started. So our first project is this adorable snowflake. It is a gift tag, which you could write someone's name on the back of with a permanent marker in white or gold. And then when the package is all done, this ornament can be removed and used on the tree year after year. It's got white liquid Sculpey for the snowflake design, and then the background is our beautiful galaxy glitter, which is a dark navy color with lots of cool glitter on the inside. So this is a bar of Primo galaxy glitter. And what I want to do first is just get it a little bit softer so that I can smush it out into a pancake to make the ornament. So oven bake clay comes in 2-ounce bars, and this brand is called Sculpey Primo. It is my favorite of all of the oven baked clay brands. And I'm just getting it soft enough to stretch out. And then I'm going to take my roller and just start rolling this one way and then the other. And I'm hoping that you can see the beautiful glitter that's in this, in the galaxy glitter. It's super pretty and just adds a really nice backdrop for our snowflake project. If you have questions, please type those in the chat bar. Jen is here with me, and she'll be fielding questions, and sometimes she's going to ask me to answer the questions, so we'd love to hear from you. So I'm just going to keep rolling this out more and more until I get it about the right size that I want for my circle, for my snowflake ornament. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to pull this in and compare it a little bit so I can see that. And I need to grab my cutters. This is a great set of cutters that I have. They're from Michaels, and it comes in a 4-pack. This one was right in there. And ever since I bought these, I have used them for just so many projects. So this would be yet another one. So I'm just going to cut out a circle out of the middle of my clay, and you can use a cookie cutter or a biscuit cutter. This is about 2 5/8, I think. And then I'm just smoothing the edges just to make it look nice. Okay. So now I just have that laying flat on my workstation. And what I want to do is make a pattern of a snowflake on here. And I'm going to kind of etch this snowflake design into the clay with this ball tool. And this is a Sculpey ball tool. It's about 6 millimeters. It's got a nice metal ball on one end, and on the other end, it has this nice rubber tip for doing some different sculpting. So what I want to do is just divide my circle into approximately 6 equal sections, and I'm just scoring this in with my ball tool. Now, if you don't get it exactly perfect, that is fine. Even though probably snowflakes really are perfect. Another thing you can do, and I'm going to lay this down so that you can see it here. You can always print off snowflakes off of the internet just for an inspiration and a guide. And that's exactly what I did here. Was I printed out a snowflake that I wanted to make. And I focused on one that's fairly simple, not a lot going on. Now I'm just using my ball tool to make some little divots out here on the points. And then I'm going to use the same ball tool to kind of score some little lines. So the reason I'm doing this is so that I'm creating little wells for my white liquid Sculpey to go into. instead of just drawing with the Liquid Sculpey on top of the clay and having it maybe possibly moving around, this is just a different technique for making little wells for the Liquid Sculpey to go into. So now let me see if I can help you see that a little bit better. See how I've got that scored into the clay. It's actually embossed in there. This set of tools, you get 3 of these. These are called the double-ended detail tools. They have 3 balls on one end, and then they each have a different shaped rubber tip on the other end. So I'm going to take this 2 millimeter tool and make some dots in each of these open areas, just to kind of give even more detail to my cute little snowflake. And then I'm going to put a big dot at the end of each of those. Now, before we add the Liquid Sculpey, it's super important that we put a hole in this, because we want it to double as not only a gift tag, but also as a Christmas ornament. So I just have to orient my snowflake and decide where I want the hole. And I'm just going to put it right here. So I'm using my smallest ball tool. I'm just pushing all the way through the clay and then kind of stirring it around. And then I'll go at it from the back and make that hole really nice and neat. So it's nice to be able to poke the hole all the way through the clay before you bake it. So oven baked polymer clay or oven baked Sculpey clays, they actually get baked to make them cure permanently hard like this. And so if you haven't used it before, the baking instructions are right there for you on the bottle and on the Sculpey.com website. So fairly easy to follow. And you just bake these products in your home oven. You don't need a special kiln or anything. You can bake on a metal or a glass pan. You could line your pan with some foil or baking parchment. If you're still using, pans that you're going to use for cooking, then you might want to line them. Our clays are all completely non-toxic, so there's no problem baking it in your home oven. It's just a really great craft that you can do for yourself or with your family. And it gives really instant results because it bakes in only 30 minutes. So in an afternoon, you can have a lovely set of projects like this done fairly quickly. So now I'm just going back with my white Liquid Sculpey and filling in all the little details that I made earlier. And I hope that you can really see those come to life now.
So Amy, if someone forgets to punch a hole in it and they bake it, what can they do?
Okay, so oven baked clays, once they're baked, they are really strong. And they can easily be drilled with, like I often use a Dremel tool or a Dremel stylo, which has really tiny drill bits, and you can just so easily drill a hole in them. If you don't have an electric drill like that for crafts, you can also invest in like a little spring drill or a pin drill. And they're about the size of an ink pen, fairly inexpensive, and you can put different size drill bits in them and you can drill right through. I think realistically, you could also take, if you promise to be super careful, you could take a very sharp X-Acto knife and very carefully and slowly just drill through with the edge, with the tip of an X-Acto. So even though it's strong, if you're going through at a point, it's going to be fairly easy to drill through. Okay, now for those tiny, tiny details, I just squirted a little bit of this on my workstation, and I'm just going to dip my little ball tool in it and fill in those little tiny dots. So at this point, if I was doing this at home, I would already have my my oven preheated to 275. All of our clays bake at 275 or yeah, thereabouts. All of the instructions are on the package and on the website, but I would have my oven preheated to 275. And I would transfer this to a baking pan and put it right in the preheated oven for 30 minutes. So just a few more dots. And then this will go on a baking pan. When it comes out of the oven, it will be, you'll let it cool completely. It'll be just that hard. And then you can add your own ribbon and attach it to a cute little gift bag. And then it can be removed and hung on the tree year after year. So that's our first project. All right, let me set this one aside and clean up just a little bit. Just using a paper towel to wipe away some of my mess. Okay, the next project I want to focus on is, this is a simply craft wrapped gift. And over it, we have used some Liquid Sculpey mandalas that we made using our mandala mold. So I want to show you how to use Liquid Sculpey with a mold. And we just filled the mold several times with best of colors. And we've got lots of little mandalas that we can sprinkle on any package. And then later, those could be used to decorate a table like little doilies, or you could sprinkle them around like snowflakes. So this is a Liquid Sculpey silicone mold. This can go right in the oven. And you can see it has a variety of different size mandalas on it. So what I want to do is, this is called garnet metallic. And I'm just going to squirt a little bit of this in the center of each of the shapes. And then I'm going to spread that around. Now you can spread this with your finger if you really like to get in there, or you can use the squeegee that comes in the mold pack. So generally what I do is I move it around with my finger a lot. Now when you're working with Liquid Sculpey, you want to always make sure that you stir it thoroughly each time you use it. Just like you would paint, or lots of other crafting materials would require that there might be some settling when they're not in use. So you would want to stir that up. You would want to take the top completely off and stir it with something long and skinny like a knitting needle or one of your clay tools. And then you can put the lid back on. Now this lid has an adjustable nozzle on it. So I've got it completely open right now for filling a mold, or you can fill it, you can open it less wide for drawing and writing. And I'm going to show you that next up. So just want to smear this around and make sure it gets in every little nook and cranny. And like I said, you can do this however you like. I like to kind of get in there and feel the product with my hands. And then once it looks like they're all filled, I'll just wipe my fingertip off real quick. And then this squeegee comes with the mold. And you just hold this at a 45 and then pull it across. Now, ordinarily, I would have the lid off my bottle and I would try to get all that good liquid right back in the bottle for a future use. So just try to get as much of that off the back as you can. And now that would go in the mold, and that would go in the oven at 275 for about 30 minutes. And when it comes out and you've allowed it to cool completely, you would have this mold full of mandalas, and they peel out so easily. The mold's flexible, so you just peel and pull. And look at how cute those are. So for this gift wrapping project, I filled my entire mold with the red, or the garnet metallic, and then I went back and filled it with gold Liquid Sculpey. And then again, I went back and filled it with pearl Liquid Sculpey. So I just selected some colors that were, you know, fun and festive for this time of the year, and that would look nice on the craft paper. And then I made all of these different mandalas. So then what you can do is, if you can buy these glue dots, and they have glue on two sides. And you can buy these in permanent or in repositionable. So if you bought the repositionable ones, you could just stick these on the back of your on the back of the mandala, and then you could use those to decorate your packaging. And then when the package is, you know, all open and torn open and appreciated, these could come off and be sprinkled on your dining room table for snowflakes, or however you'd like to decorate with them. You could also stick them on a window and they would look so cute. So that is the do-it-yourself Christmas wrap with the mandalas.
Could you also marble the colors in the mold?
Yes, you could marble them. I'll show you that real quick because I think we're going to have time. So I have another mold here, and let's just say, and remember, I've already stirred these. So this is the pearl color. And let's say I want to kind of marble it. So I'll just go ahead and squirt, you know, both colors at the same time. So it kind of marbles. And I want to make sure this time that my finger is super, super clean. And so I'll start in the middle and I'll just start working this out. And now I've incorporated the gold. And then I'll go back to more pearl out here on the edge. So you could be as controlled with this as you want to be, or you could be as random with this as you want to be. If you wanted to really control it, you could put one color down and make sure you only get it in place before you add another color. Or if you want it to marble, you can do what I did and do them both at once. Then you'd want to just squeegee the excess off the back. And when that bakes, you would have a beautiful little two-tone mandala like that. And that would be really pretty too. Just depending, you know, that way you could match whatever wrapping paper that you have. You could really custom make it. And the Liquid Sculpey comes in, I think Michaels carries it in 11 different colors. So that gives you a lot of creative ability to mix and match the colors. All right, our last two projects, I want to kind of go over these together at the same time. So this is a little Liquid Sculpey ornament that I made. It could be, it's on the front of a greeting card. We added a ribbon so that it could hang on a tree, or because it's Liquid Sculpey that's been made on top of glass, it has the ability to be a window cling. And this little guy is the same way. These are very slick on the back because I made them on glass. They will stick to glass like a window cling, or you can add a ribbon to make like a creative tree ornament as well as a gift tag. So we're going to kind of make these two together, if you don't mind. So what I have is some printouts from the internet, and just to make this a little less confusing, I'm going to fold this one. And I have a series of ornaments. I love being able to print things off the internet that are, you know, like free, copyright free. And there's a lot of that, especially if you do a search for like coloring book pages, or, you know, you can just type in free art or downloadable art, and you can find these types of things that are copyright free and that are free for you to use. So now what I have is a piece of clean and clear glass, and I've got that over the top of my pictures that I want to trace. And the pictures being very, you know, just basic lines makes it really, really easy for you to trace right onto the glass. Now, if you want to make window clings, it's super important that you do it on glass, because the back of the Liquid Sculpey has to bake super duper slick, and it has to be a non-porous surface, and then when you peel it off, it'll actually want to stick to glass by static cling. So what I'm going to do first is I've already stirred my gold, and I'm going to squirt this onto my glass, and I just want to see how much it's going to move. So I'm going to do a little drip test here. I've got more than one bottle of gold. Sometimes the liquid colors that have the metallic mica in them, they can set up and be a little bit thicker than some of the other colors. And so what I did was just drop that on there, and this one is spreading a lot slower than that one. So this is the one I want to use for drawing. Now, another way to make your liquids more drawing friendly is to make sure your tip is only open a little bit, And also you can use older bottles of Liquid Sculpey. It tends to thicken a little bit over time. And so there's definitely ones that are going to be easier to write with than others. So all I'm doing is tracing my outline right over the top of the little drawing. If you know that you're going to want to draw with Liquid Sculpey, another thing you can do is let it sit open for a period of time so that it can advance a little bit in the bottle and get a little bit thicker. Okay, when I get ready at the end of my line, what I do is I raise the tip up and I stop squeezing, and then I just let what's coming out the tip kind of drip into place. Kind of similar to how you would use frosting. You might, or sometimes I'll go backwards on the line so that my drip from my nozzle goes back into the line instead of creating a random drip. Okay, so there's my ornament shape. And then my ornament that I have done here, I went ahead and made the cap area solid gold. So I'm just going to fill that part in. And I'm going to let it, I filled it in thickly, and it's just going to spread and fill in all the spots. For the tree, I'm going to do these at the same time. I'm going to trace the outline of the tree in gold. And when my hand gets tired and I have to stop squeezing, I just lift up and then go back into the line. And this does take a little bit of practice, but you can do it. You can practice, and then these are really fun ways to make mirror clings, to write messages to people. Put a message on the mirror like, hello, beautiful, something like that. Okay, up here, I'm just going to freehand one of those little kindergarten 5-pointed stars because I want a tree topper on there. And now I'm going to go back and add some garland. So I'm squeezing hard and then lifting as I move to the right. I'm kind of letting it dribble out so that it makes like a little random garland shape. So lift and drip, lift and drip, lift and drip. Just like frosting. So fun. Just real doodly. So what we're creating here is an outline for our other colors. And that's why it was really important to have this gold. I selected the gold because it was thicker than my other colors, and it makes this beautiful little outline. Because now what I want to do is I want to bake my outlines so that they provide little walls for the other colors to go into. And I'm just going to go ahead and drip some of these garnet metallic ornaments inside my areas. So you could have a lot of fun with this part. You could make some stars in here. You could drip just little dots like I'm doing, but you could try to make like different little shapes. Make it your own. So now I've got both my outlines, my ornament outline and my tree outline ready to go. And this needs to go in the oven at 275 for 30 minutes. And that is going to set up and make little walls for my other colors. So I have some of that ready to show you here. This one has already been baked and it's ready to fill in with my colors. So like if I want to match this ornament that I did here, I'm going to go back in with my garnet metallic, which has already been stirred, remember. And I'm just going to fill in a little bit of this. Now, I always underfill and then move the liquid around with a tool. So I'll show you how I do that.
And why do you do that, Amy?
Well, if you put too much in and you overfill, you'll start covering up your lines. So I just try really hard to preserve those lines that I made in the gold. And I just find that it's so much easier. These gold lines are hard now. And so I can actually use them to guide my tool, and fill this in perfectly.
And are you also looking for air bubbles?
I'm looking for air bubbles, and any air bubbles I see, I could pop with this needle tool. You could also use a toothpick, would be a real handy tool to use for this. You can always add more liquid if you want it to look fuller, but it's just super hard to take some out. So just spreading that around like so. And I've got one more. And so glad this tree is baked because I can put my hand right on it. Here's another tip. Once you bake your outlines, you pre-bake those outlines and create these little wells, leave your outline on the glass until you fill it. Don't peel it back up. Don't peel this outline up and then try to get it back on the glass. You need to leave it on the glass because the outlines are kind of delicate, and until you fill them back in, they could have the ability to kind of stretch. And then if you put it back on there again, it might not lay as flat. So just leave them on there, until you're ready to fill them in completely. Now I'm going in with the pearl. And you can see it's a little bit runnier, and that's just kind of the nature of it. Another way you can thicken Liquid Sculpey is by adding mica powder. And you can add like this pearl is really super pretty when it's been tinted with mica powders, which I'm going to show you how to do next, but that also helps thicken it a bit. Okay, so the ornament is done and it's ready to be baked again. But next we want to work on the tree and on coloring in the tree. So just to refresh your memory, I want to show you how the tree looks. This green that we're going to fill in with is actually pearl Liquid Sculpey that I'm going to tint with mica powder. So let me show you how I did that. I'll just kind of scooch this aside for right now. You just need a plastic cup or a silicone cup or just something that you can mix in. And this is a little set of mica powders that I got at Michael's. And I'm going to concoct my own evergreen color with green and blue and brown. There's not an evergreen color, in there. So I'm going to use these three colors. And I think it turned out pretty well. I'm making sure I got the pearl again. This pearl color, it really tints really, really pretty. So I like the way it holds color, and then the mica that's in this pearl actually shows through too and makes it really pretty. So here's, I just kind of covered the bottom of my little cup because I know that's about how much I need. I try to never do too much. Now this is mica powder. Don't sneeze when you open it. And I'm just going to brush some of this excess away. And it's going to take kind of a lot of this green. So I'm just going to scoop quite a bit of green in there with my little clay tool. And put the lid back on before this, before we have a vicious mica powder accident. So now stir that in. And this is really kind of a bright green color, as you can see. And you could certainly use this color. It's a pretty, pretty color, but I want it to be more Christmas tree colored. So I'm going to add a little bit more information with this blue and this brown. So gently opening the blue. Now here's a trick I've come up with. I'm going to move as much of this loose Liquid Sculpey off as I can. And then if you just go right in here with the wet thing, it's not going to taint your mica powder. It's just going to like stick to your tool. And you kind of need a lot of this too to make it more evergreen colored. But this is just such a great way that you are in control of mixing your own colors and making it how you want it. Okay, that's probably enough blue. Next, I'm just going to add, I don't know if this is supposed to be brown or maybe like an antique gold, but it's what came in the set. And I used this exact same set for several other projects, so I just keep recycling it for my next project. Getting as much of that off as I can. Want to see how it looks now with the blue? And I'm going to get about the same amount of this brown, just to darken it a little bit. You can also do this with glitter or with embossing powders. You can stir alcohol ink into any of the Liquid Sculpeys. You can tint the Liquid Sculpey exactly how you want it with so many other craft mediums that you might already have. So it's really fun to experiment with and try to make it unique to yourself. Okay, so this is all baked and we're not peeling it off here. We were going to leave it right on there so that it stays nice and firm. And so the first thing I'm going to do is take my tool and I'm just going to try to really gently dribble this into my open glass areas. And I'm avoiding going on top of the gold, and I'm avoiding going directly on top of those red ornaments. I'm trying to just get it right in the glass, the open glass areas. You can always add more, but you don't want to overfill and cover up all your precious details that you spent that time making. I always use an oven timer when I'm baking my polymer clay projects. I don't want to over bake anything. I always use an oven thermometer. And I do use my home oven, and I have for, well, I've had a lot of different ovens as long as I've been doing this. So I have a dedicated craft oven that I use in my own studio, but I also, like if I'm doing big projects, I use my kitchen oven, and I use a timer, and I use an oven thermometer to make sure that my oven temperature is accurate and that I'm cooking at the appropriate time and temperature. So I'm just going to try to get some of this liquid green, dribbled into all the little nooks and crannies that I can, and then I'm going to spread it around with another tool. So you can do this for any season, any holiday. You could write happy birthday with it and put it on the mirror when your special birthday person wakes up and goes on their birthday morning. Write greetings, whatever you want. Okay, so pretty much I've got that drizzled all in there, and I think I'll just use this same tool and use the other end of it. So I'm going to clean it off just to keep me from wearing it. And then I'll just go in here with this pointy end and really start dragging this green liquid around.
So Amy, you have some left in the cup. How long can you leave that around before, like, let's say you want to use it again on a different project?
Yeah, so it'll be good in that cup for indefinitely, actually. So in my own studio, I like to use silicone baking cups, and you can get those at Michael's too. And the reason I like to use silicone is because it's non-reactive with the oven bake liquid clay. So if you had that in a glass or metal or silicone cup, it would be good indefinitely. You could just store it away to where you just need to lightly cover it so that you don't get dust and dirt in it. And then you could use it as long as you want to. Now, for the sake of traveling and whatnot, I do have, this is in a plastic cup, and the plastic cup is not as reliable as silicone or metal or glass. The plastic cup might actually break down over time. So that would be good in there until the cup starts breaking down. So I would say that if you're using plastic cups, you probably want to use that liquid up out of there like within a week, because the plastic might actually break down a bit. But mostly you just want to keep it clean and, you know, in a way, in a manner of storage that will keep it from getting dirty. All right, so this is almost completely filled in. And I just want to double check for air bubbles. There's a little bobble right there, but I think I'm going to leave it because that's probably better than me going after it with a paper towel and then making it worse. So that's going to look really cute. All right, now that needs to go in the oven one more time. And that's another cool thing about oven baked clays, is that you can bake them more than once, and you can add to your project and bake it again. And there's no problem with doing that. So these will go in the oven again, 275 for about 30 minutes. And then I want to show you how it looks when it comes out of the oven. So I went ahead and made up some more samples. And here's what they look like. These have been baked already. Those are my little sample blobs up there that I talked to you about, how I wanted to see, you know, how thick it was. And all you have to do, now that they're all filled in, these can come off really easily. And you just get your fingernail under there and just peel them off like that. And the back, see how super slick and glossy the back is? It's just shiny. It's so glossy. That is the side that, because it's been baked on glass, it will want to stick to glass by static cling. So if you want to use these year after year as a window cling, you'd want to store these either on a piece of glass or maybe on a piece of kitchen saran wrap or kitchen plastic wrap to keep the back side really, really clean so that it'll want to stick to glass again. If you want to turn it into an ornament, all you need to do is cut a hole or poke a hole in the top. And you can do that with a needle tool. You could just go in here and poke a hole right through this, like so. Just be careful. And then you could wiggle this open so that it makes a nice hole for your ribbon to go through. Same with this one, because on the card, I actually went ahead and I poked a hole there and added the ribbon. So we could do the same thing here. You can also take really sharp scissors, or you can take an X-Acto knife, just depending on what you have at your disposal. And you could cut into here with a knife and cut out the center of this one. Now this one filled up a little bit at where my other one that I just did today didn't. So you could, open up a hole there. Let me show you how to finish your card, because this tree one, all it needs is the ribbon, and you can hang it on a gift bag like that. But I do want to show you how I made the card. So let's work on that for just a bit. I'll set this tree out of the way. So I just bought like plain paper stock from Michael's, and I've got some, I think these are 4x6 cards and envelopes that come all together. And I just want to make duly sure that my hands are clean before I go touching this white card. Now, probably what would be the smartest thing to do would be to write Happy Holidays or whatever greeting I want on the card first. So here's the one I did earlier, and I'll just go ahead and write that on here. So what I want to do is take a ruler and find the center of my card, and I forgot a ruler. So I'm going to pretend that I've got a ruler laying here, and I'm going to find the center of my card, and I want to aim for this middle letter, the P in the middle, ending up right in the middle of the card. So if my P was here, I would just back up. I just kind of air write it and back up enough to write Happy Holidays. and I'm just using a metallic Sharpie. And here again, if you want to, you could print out, you know, fonts from the internet. You could use something else for visual reference. There's all kinds of ways. You could print this on here with your printer. Can do however you want it to be to make you feel comfortable and happy with your end results. So there's the happy, and then I can just ship. Oh, sorry about that. I must have cut myself on that knife. So I'm just going to put that right there so you don't have to look at that. Please be careful with your tools. And holidays, the D needs to end up about right in the middle. So I would picture my D being here and then right back, arrow right backwards, ILOH. And there you go. If you want to make it darker or thicker, just go back over it. Don't forget to dot your I. Okay. And there you go. And Sharpies come in so many great metallic colors now, so it'll be easy to mix and match, you know, how you want it to look for your finished piece. Okay, so now that looks kind of icky, I'm going to flip this over so I can show you how the glue dots work on here. I'm going to use I would want to use the repositionable or the removable glue dots for this project if I want my piece to be used later as a window cling.
But if you don't, then you can use like scrapbooking glue or anything
Yep.
else.
Yep, you can use scrapbooking glue or you can use permanent glue dots. Yeah, anything that you have, if you want it to stay on there, then you can be, you know, in charge of that. So then you would just want to get that in there. And that gives it kind of a neat little look where it's a little bit raised from the surface. But also definitely one of a kind and very lightweight if you wanted to mail it or just attach it to a package. And then of course it comes with the matching envelopes. So Jen, do we have any specific questions about working with Liquid Sculpey or with regular Sculpey?
Yeah, someone would like to know the difference between like Sculpey 3 and Primo and when you would use them.
Okay, all right. So in the Sculpey family, we have lots and lots of we have a lot of different brands of clay. And Primo is my favorite because I do a lot of jewelry making and I do a lot of home decor pieces. I make a lot of standalone vessels. So Primo and also Sculpey Souffle, those are our very most strongest clays. They have the ability to make standalone vessels, jewelry, which gets worn a lot, and you wouldn't believe how much jewelry gets knocked into your purse or your bag or your strap, your seatbelt from your car. So Bianca, maybe I could talk to my people here face to face. So Primo Sculpey and Sculpey Souffle are just like, they're the strongest. They come in the widest variety of colors for complete color mix and matching and custom color making. So those are my favorites for jewelry and for standalone home decor vessels. Now Sculpey 3 is a fantastic product for getting children or for new beginners to start with oven baked clays because Sculpey 3, right, this is a bar of Primo, and I chose it for its color because I wanted this color for my tag. But Sculpey 3 is a lot softer than the Primo right out of the package. It's easier for children to get started with. It's easier to manipulate and form. and it has a little bit more of a cost-effective price point to it. So it's easy to get started with Sculpey 3. Still comes in a wide range of colors. I just find that for a professional application, the colors that are in Primo and in Souffle are a higher grade quality, and they cost a little bit more, but I'm willing to go that extra distance for the types of things that I make. But for getting started, Sculpey 3 is a really good place to start. Now there's other specialty brands, like there's original Sculpey that's really soft, and it comes in white and terracotta and gray granite. Those are very good, and they also come in bigger packages for like school functions and for group activities. There's also eraser clay, and there's also bacon bend clay, which stays flexible for children to make toys with. So there's a lot of other specialty clays out there that are geared for specific purposes. And then of course, there's the Liquid Sculpey, which can be used with all of the other brands. So I hope that answers your question about brands and how to choose and how to get started. Any other questions, Jen?
No, not right now.
Okay, well, we've got just enough time for my little closing blurb then. So I'm so glad that you joined me today for Christmas do-it-yourself gift wrapping. Please, if you are inspired to make something, we would love to see it. Please use the hashtags Make It With Michaels and also hashtag How to Use Sculpey. And we would love, anytime you post to social media, that way we can pick up on what you're making, and we can be as inspired by you as hopefully we are inspiring you in your creativity. Another thing I'd like you to know is that in February, we are doing a Galentine's Day project on Zoom with Michaels. We're going to be making all kinds of jewelry that is perfect for gift giving, to make the special gals in your life, your sisters, your besties, your mom, your aunt, your grandma. We're going to be making a bunch of little mix and match earring items. We're going to make a heart pendant with matching earrings. And we're doing it for Galentine's Day, but also we're kind of shifting the color scheme a little bit to make the pieces just totally wearable all year round. And you should look for those on Sculpey.com. We'll be making the announcement and asking people to sign up for that Zoom class, once again free, with Michaels and with Sculpey. In February. Jen, is it the 10th?
Yes.
February 10th. And we would love to have you back then. So if there's no other questions,
no, I think we're
I wish you all the happiest of holidays. I'm so glad that you would take an hour and spend it with me and with Sculpey. And I'll look forward to meeting again with you in February. Bye-bye. Bye, Bianca.